Right. So thank you so much again for doing this. We had an initial conversation about EduDAO, and maybe
Hmm.
first I would love for us to introduce everyone to each other, like maybe Stephen, then of what we're looking for at the moment and like where we are right now in terms of fundraising.
Okay. Yeah, I can't, Robbie. I unfortunately can't hear you too great. At first it sounds fine, but as you keep talking, it gets softer and softer and like drifts off.
Oh
Yeah. Do you have a
no,
sensitivity adjustment on your mic?
no, I don't think so. Am I clearer now?
Yeah, it's a little
That's yeah.
clearer. It's still very, very
Okay, I
faint.
might Eugene. Okay. Thank you for meeting. I think it's because like the static from your end is affecting. How about now, Stephen?
Yeah, you're always a little quieter than most others on the calls, but this time it's really really off in the background.
Um, sound input.
You're just using the microphone built into your computer?
Yeah. How about now?
Oh, that sounds much better.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So
Good.
there you go. Um, right. So maybe we could start by just introducing ourselves to each other. Like, I think the best person to be here is Stephen as well, um, as he's been really knee deep in the idea of fundraising and like where will be the best sources and as an organization what we're looking for and like how we can help each other. I think EduDAO is like a really good organization to look at as well, and like I would love to explore like how, the possibilities around it. So maybe Stephen, you could start talking about like where we are right now, like what we're looking for, and like what.
Sure, sure. Well, Eugene, when I say we, I'm talking about the ProgCode community. We started back in November discussing what entity formation we should take. And we started off by asking people what they wanted to do in ProgCode. And after a couple of months of doing this and throwing ideas back and forth, we settled on becoming a social welfare organization, which is a tax-exempt status under 501c4 of the Internal Revenue Code. Basically, what that means is we've got a charitable purpose of serving the public with respect to certain causes. And it enables us to do certain kinds of fundraising, limits some things we can do, but not a lot. But generally, when somebody, actually not generally, but when somebody makes a donation to a 501c4, it is not tax deductible. So that's not a feature that we're going to be able to use to promote our fundraising. But we've come up with a list, rather broad categories regarding the types of fundraising we want to do. And it runs the gamut from fundraising from individuals to fundraising from organizations, seeking grants, possibly engaging in activities for which we can charge, from the standpoint of education or providing written literature, magazines, and the like. So we haven't really settled on any one or group of things, but we're looking at a variety of different sources. We do have an outline of a budget that we would like to be able to accomplish from year to year, but some of it are the basic things that we need to be in operation, and others are things that we would love to be able to do, but are kind of optional and a luxury. But that's about where we are right now. And as I was starting to say at the very beginning of our conversation before, this is an ongoing discussion. We've had, I think, 3 different meetings on the topic, and when Rappy mentioned he'd talked with you, and blockchain was a great feature to be incorporating, everybody got excited and thought this would be the perfect time to discuss it.
So also thank you, Stephen, and also one and correct me if I'm wrong as well, Stephen. Like one of the well, some of the values that we're really pushing for, like really are interested at and amplifying, is accountability and transparency. So these are like, we're really keen on that. Like a lot of the solutions that we're looking at the moment doesn't incorporate as much transparency as we would want, like in terms of the credit surcharges or the credit card surcharges, or like the service fee itself, I think is an issue we're in. We're like, who are we supporting? Where are those money coming or going to? So I think like it's a higher level of transparency that we would like to like explore around, like what are the ways we could reach that, like what are the ways we could reach that kind of goal. So maybe we would love to hear from you, like what are you seeing like in terms of EduDAO, and like where you're at right now, and like how we can help each other from your perspective as well, Eugene.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you both for the introduction. Apologies for the echo. Appreciate the handoff as I'm climbing stairs, so sorry if I'm a little winded. So I guess quickly I'll just, so we're currently building out, we're registering, we're going through the process of 501c3 filing. And yeah, so we will also be a tax-exempt nonprofit, except with the tax-deductible status as well. And then,
Eugene, you're cutting off.
sorry, 1 second. Can you hear me?
Somewhat. You were really like in a tunnel, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I was just walking into my building. Can you hear me now?
Somewhat.
Still cutting in and out. Sorry, 1 second.
No worries. Are you okay? Let us know if you're good to talk as well.
Hello?
Hey.
Sorry. Yeah, it froze for a second there. I think my phone was just catching Wi-Fi as I got close to my apartment. Can everyone hear me now?
Sounds much better.
Yeah,
all right. Perfect. Sorry about that. So I'll just start over in case any cut out. So with EduDAO, we're currently building a crowdfunding platform using blockchain. Why blockchain for something like that? To address some of the points that that both of you were mentioning in terms of especially the sort of 2 points, especially the accountability being one of them, and full transparency of where all the money goes. And the other side of it is the actual fee structure that is currently charged. Because I know when I just, between my own giving and starting to do research, once we came up with the EduDAO idea, we saw that crowdfunding platforms were charging anywhere from 4 to 15% depending on the platform. And there would be sort of a variety of structures amongst that, with some like membership models or a variety of ways to get it. But it seemed like 4% was really the cheapest that a nonprofit could crowdfund at, excuse me. And so using blockchain, we're able to get that down to about 0.5%. So we see that as a big win, where not only does all the funding get captured in an immutable way, so we can show where all the money went. We can also do that in a way where instead of getting only $85 to $96 out of 100, every nonprofit or school that goes through us will be able to get $99.50. So we see those as two big points. However, in our mind, just getting money to the organizations that need it doesn't solve all the problems. The other element of EduDAO that we're currently working on is actually building in-person communities that would really empower those dealing with challenges to be the ones that can direct the spending, that can build community, and engage the type of social impact of vertical communities that we're building. And what I mean by that is the first areas where we're focusing, and the most pertinent to this discussion, is a community of social good activist coders, which would be either individuals, which would loop in organizations like Reboot Bootcamp, Knowledge House, or Perscalis, which are themselves nonprofits that offer coding education, but on a pretty small scale. pair that with actual, proper technical education. And, here in New York City, the NYUs, the Columbias, the Cornell Techs, the CUNYs, and all 20 some odd schools they have across the city. So there's no shortage of amazing institutions here. Some of them are not socially minded in the slightest, and we've had discussions which were a little mind-blowing for me. But there are a ton that do want to do good and just don't have the infrastructure, and they just simply don't have the time. So for us, we want to build a community that can we want to be the point where everyone can come together, and we kind of reel everyone in. But we also want to then think of kind of the next layer of, well, what is, how can we then get to the schools that don't even have a CS program, that haven't even thought of how to get computer science or engineering or real, in-depth STEM topics to their students, just due to the socioeconomic situation that the folks in that community are dealing with. So that's a long-winded way of saying, for us, it's not just money, it's the community as well. But our as I guess a specific update on the coding side, and on the code of the platform side. We just finished our MVP. We're going through testing right now. It's on the test net. We're planning on doing our first proposals in the next 4 to 8 weeks. We're currently planning on funding an adult programming at a charter school in the Bronx, which I'm involved with. Work with this one organization which does creative arts education, specifically film education. And they not only teach the students, they also teach a teacher. And they leave behind all the equipment that school needs to then go shoot on their own. And our goal in working with that organization is we want to connect everyone who gets taught that with nonprofits that need marketing help. It helps the nonprofits, it helps the students build a portfolio, which they can in turn monetize with time, because if you show that you know what you're doing in shooting film, you can start making cash on the side as a high schooler. And the final proposal, we're still debating just based on the timing of when we're actually going to be ready to do it, but it's either going to be a hip-hop education fundraiser in the Bronx, or it's going to be focused on getting some underprivileged students coding internships who've had their first exposure into CS with some mentorship from corporate developer evangelists from corporations. So we're going to be ready to start doing the fundraisings this summer. Our expectation, each fundraiser is not that big. They're in the 5 to 10K range. Our first fundraisers are going to be capped at 10K for governance reasons to begin with, just given that this is a nascent technology. We don't want to open ourselves up to, somewhere small, there's some kind of gap in the code or some kind of mistake in a line of code. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of EduDAO, which was an idea that came out last year. But that was pretty much a equity crowdfunding for-profit version of what we're trying to do. And they rushed out the code. They raised $160 million in 3 to 4 weeks. And then within a month, got about half of it stolen because they didn't thoroughly look through the code. And someone was able to legally take money from this fund and put it in their fund because their thinking was code is law. And so this guy's argument was, hey, code is law. I followed the code. Money's mine now. So in learning from that mistake and a loss of $80 million, which created a whole kind of hullabaloo on the Ethereum network, which is what we're actually building on, we are putting in a much more stringent governance structure than those folks did. So we have our board of directors, including some of the team members, is 9 people. All the initial proposals are going to get reviewed by the board members and get voted on. They have to have at least 7 of 9 votes, or 6 of 9 votes in the majority to be able to be approved for any fundraising. Every organization that we're fundraising for has to be a registered nonprofit or social good organization, like a 501c3, 501c4, or a registered school. That way, that helps us with the AML KYC on where's the money going. And yeah, I mean, our goal in general is not to always be capped at that $10,000 range. But again, that's just where we're starting from governance. And the way our proposals actually work is that hypothetically, if we end up, say, running a campaign for the Progressive Coders Network, we wouldn't actually put it in a way that the 10,000 would hit your bank account. You would put in where that money needs to go, what's the service or goods that you need to purchase. And as soon as the 10K gets hit, it's all automated using smart contracts in the blockchain, where that invoice automatically goes out. If you need validation points along the way, we can put those in so that the requested parties on the side of your organization who would need to approve, part of the outflow of that money. Let's just say you're just like, it's easier example with a school, but let's just say you're a school that doesn't have money to fix like an HVAC system. You could put it in so that a third goes out once they clear out all the existing stuff. A third of the money goes out once they put in the new equipment. And then the final third goes out once everyone involved verifies that it's working and there's no issues. So we are able to do kind of those multi-step approval processes afterwards. So I realize that was many mouthfuls. So I'll take a break there and would love to answer questions before I get into how I personally see us being able to partner, because I see a couple ways.
Maybe thank you so much for that, Eugene. I think there's a lot of things to unpack, but I'd love to go first through Pamela and then Spiro and 415 to do their introductions.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see more people joined. Hello.
Yeah. No worries. Pamela, go for it.
Hi, I am Pamela. I'm a volunteer staffer at ProgCode. I do member and partner onboarding and just try to help out in the community where there's a need. Really, really interesting proposal and sounds exciting. There is a lot to unpack, and I don't have any particular questions, but I would go ahead and let Spiro introduce himself.
Thank you so much. Spiro, go for it. I'm unmuting you now.
Is it okay if I mostly listen?
Yeah, go for it. Sure.
Okay, thanks.
415, would love to know who you are, where you're from, who is this?
I'm calling from San Francisco. A friend of mine forwarded me this invite. I actually run a pretty decent sized blockchain meetup in San Francisco. A friend of mine actually forwarded this invite, so I just walked in. So I apologize for being late.
No worries. What's your name again?
G.
Okay. So thank you so much for being here, and so we're going to go on a stack basis. So if you have any questions, please type in stack or G. I'm not muting you, but yeah, since it's quite there anyway. But if you wish to like ask any question or comment, please just say stack or
Sure.
attention. Maybe Stephen, you have you wanted to stack.
I did. Thank you. Yes, I have a question. First, Eugene, this sounds fantastic. Sounds amazing, and I'm really intrigued by the I don't know if, for lack of a better term, trials that you described. It sounds like that's what they're intended to be. I'm curious, is there a particular reason that you don't have the program putting the money directly into a bank account, and that it's instead being used to purchase specific items?
Yes. The main reason for that is the wonderful educational funding model in our beloved country. In a nutshell, if you're a public school and you have not set up your own foundation, you cannot accept the news. And as you can imagine, the least capitalized, least staffed, and especially in the least serviced neighborhoods, they don't have time or energy or resources to make a foundation. And it's blown my mind how some very well-off schools are so intensely ignorant of the reality that underfunded schools deal with. But I've talked to a bunch of schools where if you've ever seen Donors Choose, we're kind of replicating their model onto the blockchain for the exact reason that if a teacher wants something through the school budget and the school bank account, there's a whole, it's not even a layer, it's multi-layers of bureaucracy and permissions and whatnot that get in the way. However, 99.9% of the time, at least in my conversations, if a teacher comes to their management and they say, hey, here's free money that someone is giving us, or here's 20 Chromebooks or whatever it is in the end that someone is giving us for free, all we have to do is add it to our inventory. That involves a lot less headache on their end. So that's sort of the logic that we did it. And creating different kind of business rules, whether you're a nonprofit or a school. We didn't want to go that route just because, again, from the governance and transparency standpoint, if you're raising money as an organization, you should know why you need that money. You should not just be asking for money. So in our opinion, when an organization is coming to us, they already have an intended use for that money. If they are unaware of how to fill out our platform or use any of the tech, we're here to help them get through that. But our real goal is for whoever's putting up a proposal to really think through what is that money for and map out where it's going. And part of the reason we're doing this DAO type structure, which is a blockchain type structure, is we actually want to add the online community element as well. So hypothetically, Stephen, if you put up a proposal to buy, 50 guitars for a local school to add a music program, and I could say, oh, wait, hey, I see you're sourcing it from this place. My brother actually works at their competitor and I can get you a discount. So we're of the belief, and we haven't actually had a chance to test it yet, but our theory is that when you open up that extra level of transparency to the community, there will be additional value captured by folks coming together and saying, hey, I actually need to purchase the same thing. Let's coordinate these proposals and make it a bulk order for 2. That way we can get the price down, or share lessons learned or something along those lines. So that was a long-winded answer. For initially, it's just the way schools work, and then second, from a transparency and governance standpoint, we like that idea more.
No, actually, it was a good explanation, not just long-winded. I mean, it was thorough. I appreciated that. But I mean, what if there's something in particular that I want to get that can only be obtained from a particular source?
Oh, that's not a problem. You just have to put in the information of that source. So let's say you need to hire another coder who has an immensely unique skill set to build this one thing for a nonprofit, or, I'm just making up an example, but that's perfectly fine. We just need to know however you would bill them, or you would get them that money or purchase that good in the end. We just want you to put that into the invoicing so we can create an automated contract.
Okay, and are you then getting us the best price? I mean, in other words, are you negotiating with the supplier? For instance, if you ended up with 5 different organizations that wanted the same thing from the same place, do you then negotiate a better price for everybody, or do we come in saying we know it costs $10 a widget, and that's what we pay?
So, in short, no, just because our goal is to decentralize it, not for us to be a centralized repository of helping everyone. So for us, the goal is you connect with other schools in your area. We'll help you set up a meetup, and we'll do quarterly hackathons or yearly hackathons, and we'll help you build a community around what you're doing. But it's up to the community members to do things like that. I think we just want to set up the platform.
It's more about the latent effect of having a transparency in the network. Since these are all transparent, there's this space for collaboration and in effect collaboration and shared resources and shared knowledge. So I think that's what I'm getting.
And in a sentence, our goal is to be an infrastructure that schools and nonprofits tap. So there is the expectation of, if you're tapping us, you're still doing work. We're just a piece of the puzzle.
Cool. Thank you so much. Pamela.
It's really fascinating, Eugene. My question, because these are some of the things that you're talking about are really aligned with some of the goals that our community has set for our fundraising purposes. So I'm wondering, when you interact with these nonprofits, do they go through a vetting process? And if they do, what does that consist of? And how do you vet them, but then still keep the transparent, inclusive nature of the relationship?
Yeah, so I'm going to give an answer that I feel will immediately undermine all what I just said, but then you got to start somewhere. The vetting process is me, or one of our current founders or members. So given that we want to do this tight governance on the first, say, 3 to 10 proposals, just to make sure we got the tech right, we're working with groups within our network. We absolutely do not want that to be the model long term. The whole goal is to open this up to anyone, and the vetting process will be, are you registered as some form of nonprofit or social good corporation or social good institution, or are you registered as a school? If you're a proper B Corp or proper for-profit, we're not for you. But as long as you have that kind of registration number, that's all the vetting we're going to do. Well, initially our board will actually read through and we'll Google who you are and we'll do some research and make sure that you're legitimate. But our goal in the long term is to decentralize everything. So we just want to be the platform and create this public utility that will not need a big team to keep maintaining. Like, our goal is to make this so that 1 or 2 people can run this organization 3 years from now and this be a massive global organization, because it would be decentralized to the local community. So like 5 years from now, the way we want that working is, let's just, going back to Steven's example, there's 5 groups that are doing something similar in the neighborhood. They are the ones that can start vetting each other. And once you have an established meetup and you have hackathons and you have all these kind of group events where anyone can come in and join this movement of let's work together, let's collaborate, and let's do everything free and open source. And anything that comes up at the hackathons, you can turn to our platform to fund it as long as it's free and open source. So we do really want to create sort of, again, this full like ecosystem of doing good and being able to raise funds. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
That sounds super similar to, or familiar to, what we are doing.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like none of these ideas are overly unique. There's a ton of smart people around the world with good hearts, and like us on the phone now are just 2 examples of 2 groups who independently came up with a lot of the same ideals. And I'm guessing there's hundreds, if not thousands more, and it's such a shame we're not all connected. So like, we really want to be the ones that try to loop everyone in so that we can just make the biggest impact together.
And sir, can you walk us through like the process from start to finish, if that's okay? Like,
the proposal process?
No, like from like first of all, like I'm still wrapping my head around the blockchain and DAO part, and
yes. Does
this include or involve Bitcoins, or is it actual like dollars, or do we have to like translate some parts of it into Bitcoins? Or I wanted to understand that monetary part. Second part is like, from once we do vetting, right? So there's this invoice or proposal stage, and then what happens after until like funding. If you could explain that to us, that would be
absolutely more than happy to. So we are not using, we're currency agnostic. So it doesn't matter to us what currency you use, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of the new altcoins that are coming up, or US dollars or whatever else. So to walk you through the process, but we, however, are building on Ethereum for those that, it's the second biggest platform. I don't know if you've been looking at prices lately, but Bitcoin has grown to be an $80 billion market. It's like tripled or quadrupled, in the last 2 months. And Ethereum is the second biggest at 20 billion. So there is a lot of activity on the network, which is why, and it's more open and easy to build on, which is why we chose Ethereum. So to answer your question, I think it might just help to kind of walk through A through Z on a proposal. So let's just say the proposal that needs to get funded is Equality Charter School, which is a school I'm involved with. Let's just say they need 20 new Chromebooks for their career programming class. Actually, that's something they literally put up yesterday on Donors Choose. So if they were using our platform for that, they would fill out the proposal form, which will look really similar to the way a CrowdRise page or an Indiegogo or any of those, where you put in information on what your project is and you put marketing information, you put your goals, how much money you want to raise, etc. But then the next level of information that we will require that, they do not, is where is the money going? Is this a lump sum payment and then you get what you need, or are there multiple validation points that need to happen? And then where, specifically what accounts, who are you billing, or who will be billing you rather, for these goods or services, and we need that information. And once you fill all that in, a smart contract gets created on the back end. And then let's just say, I'm seeing on my phone Stephen, Rapi, and Pamela. So let's just say the 3 of you are going to fill or donate to that amount, or donate to that proposal, Let's just say Stephen is using Bitcoin, Rapi is in Ethereum, and Pamela is in US dollars. Sorry to make you old school in this example, Pamela. But So for Rapi, if you're using Ethereum, perfect. That's very straightforward for us. We do not need to go through any other points. But for Steven, who's using a different cryptocurrency, or Pamela, who's using fiat currency, once they put their money in, the processing, we will be able to take the fund and pretty much go with Coinbase, which is one of the big exchanges for fiat to cryptocurrency, and they offer no fee exchanges for nonprofits. So using that service, we're able to get a free transfer from any other currency, again, crypto or fiat, into Ethereum. And then on the back end, it's all going to be done on the Ethereum blockchain. So you will be able to, when you actually put money on the platform, you don't just have to fill a single proposal. You could say, like, let's just say I know my budget for the year is $500. You could just put it all there in one lump sum and just start, say, voting with your money on which proposals you want to support. So your $500 will turn into tokens, and then you distribute those tokens to the proposals that you want to fund. So that way we're actually trying to get people to think about continuously donating to multiple funds, as opposed to, oh, y'all sent me a ProgCode crowdfunding page and I'll give it to you because I know you, and I'm not going to look around anywhere else because I don't care about the other people. We really want to encourage people to actually put on slightly, to be able to do continuous giving, so we could actually have it, repeat every month, every year, or something like that. And any money that the donors put in is tax deductible. So each smart contract entails pretty much issuing a receipt for tax donations to anyone contributing to that proposal. The next step is waiting until it hits the desired amount. So let's just say for the 20 Chromebooks, it's $5,000, which would be insane, but let's just say it's $5,000. And as soon as you hit that $5,000, that's when the smart contract starts executing. So in the case of Chromebooks, it would invoice either Google directly through Play Store or Best Buy, or one of your Department of Education approved vendors if you're a school and have to go through that loophole. At the point once it's actually being sent to the individual, that's when we can go back on the conversion side. So that's when we hit Coinbase again to go from Ethereum to US dollar, because I don't know a single contractor or service provider who wants Ethereum, even though that's a mistake on their end, but that's a separate discussion. It's been growing insanely, in case anyone's thinking about investing. But that's pretty much the process. Once we're in a future where cryptocurrencies are more prominent, that will become a smoother process. However, that's the way we're going right now. And again, thanks to us being a 501c3, we're able to get the free exchanges in and out. And I think that answered both parts of the question, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. Steve?
Of course.
Eugene, what if the organization does not meet its goal?
Everyone gets their money back.
It goes back to the donors.
Yes. And that's a point where we're thinking through around what's the right community engagement there. But then we want to, the way I'm imagining it, and this is not finalized at all, but the way I'm envisioning is that, let's just say we fall $1,000 short of our proposal. It pings everyone who donated, and it also pings the folks who created the proposal in a single outreach, to kind of get everyone into a conversation of saying, well, what happened here? Did you have an audacious goal for what you're trying to do? Did you not market it well? Is there any way we as a community can make this succeed next time? So we, again, want to make the failure kind of a community touch point.
Wanted to ask, like, if Satyajit and Spiro has questions, or and would love to learn more, like, yeah. Do you have any questions, Satyajit?
No, I don't have any questions. Sorry, I joined late. So
no worries. Glad that you're here. But yeah.
Well, there's one thing, like I've been involved with a little bit with Bitcoin and Ethereum, just dabbling with cryptocurrencies. So here, I don't know if this was answered, but if you don't meet the goals and you have to give the money back, basically people are going to get their quote unquote money back. They're going to get some they're going to miss some part of their money, right?
Do you mean because of price fluctuations?
Well, one is price fluctuations. The other is also the what do you call it? The sort of the commissions that are going.
Yeah, so so if you're referring to the gas, and gas is sort of the operational cost of using
Yeah.
cryptocurrency in a nutshell. So that's actually why we're charging the 0.5% in the first place, is just because we have to cover that gas cost. If it wasn't for gas, we would make this totally free. So yeah, we're just charging that 0.5% to cover the operational cost of transacting cryptocurrencies and to do the hosting and, you know, AWS and web hosting and all that jazz. Sorry, what was the first part of your question?
No, I mean,
if it appreciates in value. So no, that's actually a serious consideration. And so for us, we are of the bullish mentality that these coins are all going to be on a long-term upwards swing. If we see cryptocurrencies collapse, we have a separate conversation to have. But as long as they continue on their trajectory of strong growth, and seeing, especially being at this conference over the last 3 days with Consensus in New York with over like 3,500 folks from major corporations. I mean, like all of the top corporations were there, and it's very encouraging to see what's happening in this space. So we are very bullish on the fact that it will keep appreciating. So if you put in $100, but due to Ethereum's growth over the time that the proposal was issued, it grows to $110, we see that as an awesome thing. You not only will still retain your initial, you still kind of get the coins, and I can, if you're interested in more technical details, I can connect you with the CTO because I'm not actually a coder. So I some of the nuanced technical details I might misspeak on, but pretty much we're able to issue some more tokens if your value appreciates. So if you came in with $100 worth of money, but over that week that the proposal was issued, it grew to 110. Given that the underlying asset is growing, we're able to issue more of those tokens. So you will now actually have $10 more to invest. If there's, for whatever reason, there's a challenge in getting an individual that money, the second thought was pooling that together for the community to then vote on something. You know, say once a quarter, there's a community vote with any of the excess funds that needed to be pooled together, because by having that pooled, then we can hedge ourselves by any downturns in the currency. So we're still playing around with the right way, but we are also going to invest some of our own crypto holdings into this to make sure that, let's just say you put in 100 and it's 90, the thing that we are not okay with happening at the, you know, with being willing to put up personal losses, especially in the beginning, while this is a manageable amount of money, is that is not an acceptable option. If you put in $100, there's zero chance you're investing less than $100. So we have to figure out the proper hedging on that. But based on the Ethereum's track record and their roadmap, and speaking to their developers and the folks who are really pushing that ecosystem, we have zero concerns about depreciation being a challenge in the short term.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Great. Wow, this is really awesome. I think there's a lot of moving pieces, but I think a lot of it has been cleared out. And wanted to ask you, Eugene, like how you see this moving forward, like because I think we've had a really good conversation before, and like from your perspective, like where do we position like how ProgCode is with you, and like how you see this moving forward from your perspective. And Stephen, I would love to get your thoughts as well, as you've been doing a lot of things for this, and even Pamela as well. Like we would love to get your thoughts on this as well. So maybe Eugene, you go first. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Good call. Hello, can you hear me now? Thank you. All right, perfect. So I think the first and I would say most apparent option is with your development side. So we are more than happy. I mean, with this first round of proposals, if one of them falls through for whatever reason, we'll let you know, but we've kind of locked those choices in, so we don't want to, you know, try to renege on someone who we've promised to do one for. But then in any of the subsequent rounds, which will be happening this summer into the fall, we would love to, I mean, what you're doing as an organization is the kind of stuff we want to support. So we would definitely love to help, get a proposal set up and try to raise some money for some of your specific needs. Beyond that, so that's on the funding side. On the other side with community, so one of our goals is, like I mentioned before, really trying to reel in these very disparate but amazingly both missioned and staffed organizations that are doing coding education, coding advocacy, coding volunteering, to sort of bring everyone together. And one of our goals, and I'm actually speaking to some folks at the Project Management Institute about this too, but we want to create the most simple, cheapest way for organizations that need help to connect with organizations that can help, or individuals, but also pair that with a project management tool, so that we can create a structure where either someone who's, say, a developer evangelist at a corporation as part of their mandate, or folks like yourselves who are, who have experience and who actually know what they're doing on the coding side, can then be paired to sort of mentor high school and college coding students, so that they do a lot of the heavy lifting with your guidance, with the guidance of the folks who really know what they're doing and have been through this kind of thing. So we want to structure that community in a way that not just gets things coded, but does so in a way where the younger generations of budding coders are kind of walking away with new skills. And in turn, if yourselves or any of your organizations where you actually work and make your money, or any corporates, they can offer potential internships to those students, because they already do that kind of thing. Like, they bring on high school students, they don't expect to use that code. They're doing it for training and development of potential future workforce. So if we can help them create a structure where they can pair that with a social mission, that just looks better for them. And we've had some interest, early stage, no one's signing checks yet, but we've had some at least theoretical interest from tech firms around this. So we're very confident that we can create this structure, and we would love to have you folks at the conversation when we start doing our first, we're calling them kind of social impact vertical meetings. So we just want like 1, 2, maybe 3, no more than that, representatives from separate organizations in this general space to come together and have the discussion of how can we pair together. We understand that ProgCode is working on the social issues. Blockchain for Social Good is looking at that, or you guys are focusing more on the political, say, and advocacy from that perspective. What's called Blockchain for Social Good is any form of social good, but it has to use blockchain, et cetera, for all these different groups, so that we can help bring them together as it makes sense. So we're going to do that first meeting in late June to early July. So I will definitely keep you in the loop, and we'd love to have someone, some of you there.
Thank you so much.
Of
Steve.
course.
Sure. Thanks, Rappy. Eugene, I'm not sure how much you know of how we're structured in our membership, so I'll just do a quick recap of it, and
Please.
this may benefit anybody else who's watching this later on as well. The projects in ProgCode are really a result of the autonomy that each of our members and project owners is allowed in ProgCode. ProgCode itself has a couple of pet projects that we've undertaken, such as universal healthcare and net neutrality, and we do intend to take on other projects as a community in the future. Most of the apps that come out of ProgCode are created as a result of a member deciding to do something, and then they proceed on their own. And your program, I think, has some fantastic benefits for those individuals, because as they do have autonomy, and some of them may have particular needs for their projects, I could see a great deal of possibility for them to be able to provide, say, an ask of things that they need or want to help advance their activities, or maybe once their app is done and they need to do some promotion on it. I can see some great benefits to them for a program such as this. Things that we as ProgCode might be limited in what we can provide for them in the way of resources because of the way that we're structured. But this could be a fantastic program for them to get involved in, and would also help them from a standpoint of maybe giving them a measure of indication of the value that the community, when I say the community, I mean the outside community, not the ProgCode community, but the outside community sees in what they have to offer. So, one of the things that we do as ProgCode is we call it network partnering, where we find organizations outside of ProgCode that have these amazing services, such as the one you're working on, to offer, and try to pair them up with people. Funding is a big issue for a lot of people, especially since if you consider that about 95% of these things that come in are from startups. They're not coming from established organizations. So this could be a fantastic way to get some of these projects off the ground and do it outside of ProgCode, but with the assistance of ProgCode from a standpoint of making recommendations, et cetera. So, I think this is a fantastic thing for us to be able to direct some of our project owners toward.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And to add to that, I think so. To just clarify what you were saying a while ago, Eugene, we are focused on the issues. We are focused on building applications to empower the grassroots through tools and education, and voter registration, voter education, and not so much in the political partisan politics. So we're really focused on when Stephen talked about healthcare and net neutrality, we're reaching out, or we reached out to a lot of different organizations. Quick update aside, Georgia has agreed to speak in the Universal Action List. Yay! And we're creating ways to support universal healthcare advocacies and net neutrality advocacy. So we're focused on that, and creating these projects will help us push that. So we're removing a lot of the stress points that they're experiencing. But just so that I just wanted to add on to what Stephen said. And Pamela.
I just see really nothing but possibilities here, and it's really exciting. I will be the first to admit that I don't know enough about blockchain, so it was appropriate that I was picked as the old school US dollar donor because I'm a non-coder, and this is just a whole different frame of mind, and so I have to do some research to fully understand. But I'm like Stephen and Rafi, just really excited about the potential here, and would love it if we could be included in that group in your social impact vertical meeting at the end of June or July. But that's, I can't speak for everybody else. That's just my hope.
And thank you so much, Pamela. I feel like this is how we should look like, how progressive technology looks like. And I guess, Satyajit, do you have anything else to say before we end this call too?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. I guess what we really wanted to hear from here on out is just how there again possibilities and learning opportunities. I think it would do great if you could send us literature, Eugene, about what you're doing, and so that we could understand further, and that we would give it to our members as well, in a full transparency type of way.
Yeah.
And again, do you have any last words that you would like to share before we end this?
Yeah. I realized one thing I forgot to mention about how we could work together, especially for us, given that we're growing, and I know we're both in general growing because there's so much to do and so much to conquer, but nonetheless, you've had a head start on us, and we can definitely learn from you in terms of how you've been doing your governance and even some of the onboarding practices and things like that. I would love to just spend some time with some of the appropriate folks about some of the operational elements, about literally how it's done, whether or not these things are documented, and just some lessons learned so that we avoid hiccups, which are inevitable, or diminish the amount of them, I would say. But The only other thing, I guess, Stephen, to your point about it being a very individual contribution, that's exactly how we want to structure it, whether it's a person wants to donate some time, or it's a NYU wants to bake this into part of their coding lessons, or IBM makes this a requirement for 5 people. We want to make this as flexible. And for us, we want to blur the lines as much as possible, because we're not in this for the credit or for any of the ego elements. We're in it for that bottom line of the impact. So if it needs to be done under other people's names or whoever, we don't care. Our goal is for that people to come together and do more. So we just want to do whatever it takes for that. And in terms of blockchain knowledge, if you think it's helpful, I would be more than happy to do a Zoom run, like Blockchain 101 kind of thing. We've done those for nonprofits and whatnot. More than happy to set that up in the coming week.
Yeah, I would love to share that with the community as well, if you don't mind inviting everyone.
Would love to. Yeah, and that would be an easy way for me to do 50 minutes on or however amount of time on blockchain, and 5 more minutes with a little picture behind me on what EduDAO is doing to make it a little more digestible.
Would be great to have you in the video as well.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's been.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, next time I won't be hiding, I promise.
Right. I think you also just checked one of our values as well, which is no ego. We really don't want credit as well. We just really want to create this framework of support for applications to just, and I feel that I'm really excited about having that talk. I would love to schedule it. I'm really thankful about Catherine Jones connecting us as well. I think this is a serendipitous connection. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone
Thank you all as well.
And I'll be go for it, Stephen.
Yeah, Eugene. I don't know if you're in our community yet. Whether you've joined ProgCode.
Right, you have to invite him.
Yeah. Well, here's an invitation, Eugene. Please join. And
Thank you.
And here's the real point I wanted to make after that is Pamela and I are part of a 4 or 5 person team that does onboarding.
Great.
I think I can speak for everybody on the team that we'd be more than happy to share with you some of our processes and help you. I mean, if these are things that you think that would be beneficial to you, anybody in the community is this information is available to anybody in the community. You're welcome to sit in on our onboarding sessions and see how we do things. We are in the process of putting together a vetting procedure as well as putting together guidelines with respect to our own tax-exempt governance and being able to draw those boundaries to keep the community in a tax-exempt status and otherwise keep it safe. So we're a very open community, and there are really no secrets, which is kind of the reason I think that Rappy thought this was such a cool idea to have this discussion. Yeah. But we're happy to share whatever you need.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rappy, for setting this up.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite, and please would love to have you on one of the onboarding.
Great.
And definitely. I'll send you also some information and updates on the events that are coming up. Like as Stephen said, there's vetting, there's governance on partisan and non-partisan activities, and there's just a lot of things right now that we're also figuring out the same way that you're figuring out. So we would love to have you on if you would want. So again,
looking forward to it.
If you join, please join the legal channel. We would love to have you in the legal channel and have your input on things. It would be a big help.
Okay,
right, I'll jot that down and check it out.
I'm so hungry, y'all. End this. I'm about to get angry.
Our meetings are always cut short because of red.
Anyway, thank you, everyone. This was really amazing, and have a good night.
Great meeting.